The keystone to justice is the belief that the legal system treats all fairly. Prior to founding her law firm, attorney Mariam Kuregyan was known for her tireless and effective legal representation. She has secured settlements and judgments and continues to focus on dedication to handling quality legal representation. Why did you choose law, and when did you realize that it was your calling?
Law is such an enormous task. A lot of times when I was younger, I thought of it as an impossible task to take on. But as I gradually went through schooling and saw that I'm capable, one late evening, me and my husband were discussing the next steps, and he said that he will certainly support me with pursuing law if I had the drive or the willingness to do law. So that night, we kind of planted the seed and moved forward with the sacrifice, because I think, going through law school, passing the bar, finding a job, it's such a big undertaking that you need a lot of supporters, and not for a short time. So law was a undertaking, but we did it with the hopes that we can achieve it, knowing that we're in this beautiful country where, where you came from, what your reservations and what your background was, irrelevant. So I thought that if I have the chance, I would love to go to law school. I studied hard, I applied, and lo and behold, here we are practicing. So law was the impossible, and yet it became possible after years of dedication and commitment.
Competence and confidence have taken you to the highest career levels. What were the obstacles?
There are probably too many to name today, but one of the barriers that I saw for myself is English being my third language. I came to this country with my parents when I was 12, so never in my mind did I think that I could possess law and language as beautifully as I do now. So I thought that, not having English be my first language was an obstacle. Once I overcame that, then, there's the obstacle of the financial burdens as an immigrant family. So you have to deal with that, and who will help you and support you in taking on the journey of long law school journey. But more importantly, I think finding the obstacle of balance. How do you balance being an attorney, a male-driven profession, being a mom, being a wife, being a daughter? So balance would have been, if I were to rate, would be the biggest obstacle for me. But I think that if you're determined, if you work hard, a lot of those things are achievable.
I'm sure the viewers would love to know what triggered the transition from the corporate world.
Yeah, well, the transition was triggered because I was seeking balance. Because when I was with Paramount Pictures, as you know, I was part of the worldwide TV distribution. And what that meant is we would take all of our feature product and we would distribute them worldwide. My territory in particular was Europe and Latin America. And a lot of the time zones would impact my work hours. So I've had instances where if I'm closing a deal in Russia, I have to be up at 2 a.m. negotiating the terms. Or if we're doing a deal in Spain or many of the Latin American countries, it was a 24/7 task. So once I had my third child, Arthur, again, my husband and I sat down and thought about, well, we've achieved so far, and yet the one thing that we're longing the most, which is having a balanced family, is still missing. So at that time we made the decision to, although I loved my career at Paramount, I thought what better way than to take my corporate knowledge, my corporate know-how, and transition into my beautiful Armenian community and or personal injury community and excel in that field. And here we are. I think I haven't looked back. At times I try to think of my Paramount days, and it's hard to do it. It's such a foggy memory, not because I didn't love it or enjoyed it. It's just what I do now is much more closer to my heart. I'm a people's person. I love knowing that when people walk out of my office, they feel like they're in good hands and that I'm gonna deliver the kind of results that they're looking for. So I have no reservations about transitioning and or picking law, and all of the obstacles that I mentioned were really mainly obstacles that were in my head, but not real obstacles. Once I changed my mindset, everything else became possible.
What does it mean to be a personal injury lawyer?
That's a great question, Asha Luis. I find that there's a lot of confusion about the practice area that we specialize in. When you tell people I'm a personal injury attorney, they're like, what does that mean? Or when you say, I'm a civil litigator, well, people don't know what that means. I'm a PI attorney, people don't know what that means. But when I simplify it, generally when I'm talking to my friends and family, I say, we specialize in injury that happens outside of work. So anytime that you are not at work and you get injured through the negligence of somebody else, that's what we specialize in. Because if someone were negligent enough to cause you harm, bodily harm, or be it emotional harm, then you have this field of law that helps you to be made whole. And that's where we come in and we structure the case so that every burden and every pain and every experience that has been triggered since that injury is properly documented, is properly presented, so that when the claim is then in front of an insurance policy carrier and or an individual who caused the pain, then they're able to backtrack and understand what this injury has done to your life being. So that's what we do. We attempt to make you whole prior to the injury.
And you're doing such a great job at it.
Okay, thank you.
What is the most difficult case you've dealt with?
There's probably too many to bring up, but I want to maybe highlight the most recent one. I had a beautiful young client who was 2 weeks prior to her marriage and was involved in a car accident where she fractured her wrist. And when she came to me, she was in tears, and I felt her emotion because, you know, as a little girl, you dream of this beautiful wedding, and now you have to actually curtail that dream vision and adhere to the limitations that you now have because of the injury that you've sustained. So I think recent one that stands out in my mind only because we were here in this office sharing tears and emotions, and me saying that, you know, everything's going to be okay. And that took me emotionally to my wedding and how I would have felt. And we actually had to reach out to the doctor and see if we can remove the cast for the wedding day and then put it back on, which luckily was an option because of her fracture. But we as a team did everything possible to minimize the impact of the injury for her on her special day. So it's not necessarily the most difficult case, but it's the one that sticks in my head as far as emotion and the uproar of how an injury can impact every element of your life, you know.
Seems like with this case you made it very personal.
I did because, again, I felt her tears, I felt her emotion, and I wanted to think outside of the box. Well, how can we help her? How can we make that walk down the aisle with her dad ever more special and not focus on the injury, as painful as it might be? And looking back, we actually got a really nice settlement for her. And looking back, I think we did a good job.
Where do I begin? Working with Mariam, it's just an absolutely amazing experience. She's so full of positive energy, the fire in her for all the cases that she fights for. It's a big motivation on a daily basis. We work very well together. She's very understanding, very caring. Just overall, she's an amazing person to work with. I mean, she makes my life easier, and you know how difficult this job can be, working with a variety of people on a daily basis. But everything is a smooth sail, and we have so much fun at work that sometimes, you know, we feel like we're playing a little too much, but it's work after all, and this is our life, and it's all because of Mariam. That's all I can say. There's so much more, but I think I'll go on. But she's amazing, and Savannah's amazing. It's a great life experience.
Կասաբոնիտա տարեցների առողջապահական նորաբաց կենտրոն։ Այստեղ ստեղծված են բոլոր հարմարավետ պայմանները ապահովելու ձեր բարեկեցությունը։ Կասաբոնիտայում հոգում են ձեր առողջապահական խնդիրները բարձրորակ մասնագետների միջոցով։ Լուծում են ձեր սոցիալական եւ կենցաղային հարցերը, օգնում են բարելավել ձեր մկանային ուժը հատուկ մարմնամարզությունների միջոցով։ Ժամանցային հետաքրքիր ծրագրեր, հատուկ սնունդ, փոխադրամիջոց։ Կասաբոնիտայում բացօթյա գեղեցիկ պարտեզից եւ ջերմ ընդունելությամբ սկսվում է ձեր յուրաքանչյուր օրը։ Կենսաէներգետիկ երևույթները մարդկությանը հայտնի են անհիշելի ժամանակներից։ Կենսաէներգիան ապաքինում է ցավերն ու տկարությունները, այլընտրանքային բուժման տեսակ առանց դեղամիջոցների։ Կենսաէներգիայով մերսում, ապահով եւ առանց բարդությունների։ Այցելեք Dr. Roland Yakubovin Գլենդելի իր կենտրոնում եւ զգացեք կենսաէներգիայի արդյունավետ ազդեցությունը։ Ժամադրության համար զանգահարեք 310 359 6434 հեռախոսահամարով։ Հավելյալ տեղեկություններ կարող եք ստանալ այցելելով rolandinstitute.com կայքեջ։
Մեր աշխարհը նույնը չէ։ Մեր հայրենիքը նույնը չէ, եւ վերջապես մենք ինքներս նույնը չենք։ Բայց օտար փաստաբաններ դեռ ինչ-որ բան են վաճառում ձեզ։ Մենք, ի տարբերություն նրանց, հասկանում ենք հայ մարդու այսօրվա խնդիրները եւ պատրաստ ենք միանալու ձեզ այսօր հաղթարելու օրենքի հետ կապված ձեր բոլոր խնդիրները։ Մենք, հայերով, միասին, միասնաբար։
International Families Association is a non-profit organization. Կազմակերպություն, որ տարիներ շարունակ ծառայում է ի նպաստ ցածր եկամուտ ունեցող ընտանիքների։ Յուրաքանչյուր երկուշաբթի եւ չորեքշաբթի օրերին կեսօրից հետո ժամը 2-ից 5-ը տրամադրվում է անվճար ուտելիք եւ այլ ապրանքներ։ Ընդունվում է ամեն տեսակի հովանավորություն։ Մանրամասների համար զանգահարել 818 770 0779 հեռախոսահամարով։
Glendale High Funeral Services ժամանակը ամրացնում է վստահությունը։
Glendale High Funeral Services հաստատությունը 25 տարի շարունակ ծառայում է հայ համայնքին։ Մեր աշխատակիցները պրոֆեսիոնալ եւ հոգատար են բոլորի հետ։ Ընտրեցեք բարձր որակի ծառայություն եւ հարազատ վերաբերմունք։
Glendale High Funeral Services մեր համայնքը մեր ընտանիքն է։
Զանգահարեք 818 247 8860։
What is your typical client?
My typical client is everyone that I cross paths with. I have clients who are my friends, who are my family, who are from the school where my children attend, or my colleagues from Paramount Pictures. Anyone that needs me usually remembers me enough to reach out and say, Mariam, I have this issue, can you help me? And a lot of instances, it's not the field that I specialize in, but I sense that people who know of me will come to me and say, I have this issue, and I'll generally either take on if it's something that I specialize in, or pass it down to my other colleagues as a referral. But my typical client is everyone I know, because injury, believe it or not, is more common than we think of. And now that I've been in this long enough, I see how every cross, every path, every circle of connection requires this type of practice help.
How hectic is your work schedule?
Hectic. Define hectic, Asha Luis. Maybe you should not. Again, I made this transition not to have a hectic schedule, and I think so far I've done a good job. However, my job really never stops. If someone is injured and they need me right away, then I need to be a phone call away. So I make myself available to my clients who need me, who absolutely need me, and yet I make it up in other ways when I'm able to. So to assign a 9 to 5 would be inaccurate in this practice. That really doesn't exist. Before I started my own practice, I had a dream that that might be a reality, but that's not the case. Except that I'm not hesitant about it. I love it because I feel the relief in someone's voice when they're able to reach out to me and talk to me. And in that moment, I'm able to calm them, I'm able to guide them, but more importantly, I'm able to create a safe haven for them within that injured phase. So my schedule is hectic, but everyone around me that's part of my support system understands that. So if I'm at home doing homework with the children and I need to step away quickly to take a call, I will. However, if it's a call that can wait, then I wait. But as I progress in my profession, I learn, well, which are the calls that I need to be available for and which are the calls that I can deal with during 9 to 5 hours. Litigation is a different ball game in terms of hectic schedule. I have to be honest, I haven't tried a case just yet, but we're gearing up for one. And that's more deadline driven, but it doesn't scare me because, like I said, my corporate structure has prepared me really well for deadline driven timelines. So it's just another approach that I have to implement, but we will get there once I have to face that.
What is your philosophy in winning a case?
Winning a case means a lot of things, but I think when you have the most qualified people taking on the file and looking through it and combing through the details of fact-finding, documenting, and preserving, that's the philosophy. You have to have the right team. And if anyone says to me, I did it, I dismiss it automatically because that cannot possibly be a truthful statement. It's a team of people that day in and day out review the file, document the file, and pave through the obstacles of a file, and that becomes a winning case. Singularly, I believe that nothing can be achieved successfully. So
it's a teamwork.
It's a teamwork, and I have an impressive team of women, which I want to highlight, who take pride in the work that they do, who take pride in the work that they deliver for the client. And when we get settlements, it's a joyous occasion, not just for me, but the entire team. When we get disappointing news, we share the sorrow together. And that is the philosophy, is share it and learn from it and grow with it. And more importantly, I think understanding, or the client having the understanding that you have done your best possible work.
Working at the Vanna Law Firm with Mariam and the team has been the most fulfilling and great experience of my career. Being in the attorney field and wanting to become an attorney, it's very important to have a mentor. It's very to have someone next to you who understands the job, who's a professional at what they do, and who's willing to stand next to you through the process and actually helping you reaching your own goals. I remember my first day of interview and that Mariam was saying, one day I want to see you to where I am today or even higher. And not a lot of people say that, not a lot of wish that upon others. But being in a firm that they want to see you grow, they want to see you do better and bigger things, they want to pass on their knowledge to you, is the most fulfilling experience of a lifetime.
What would you advise someone who is fresh out of law school?
My first advice would be the hard part's over. So take pride in that you've done that. But start studying for the bar as soon as possible, pass the bar, and have no fear, because I sometimes hear students that are done with law school complain that, oh, there isn't enough work, or how am I going to pass the bar? And I think, again, those are a background noise that you shouldn't worry about. Just put your best foot forward. If you've finished law school, that means you're doing something right. You have enough people supporting you. And the tail end is passing the bar. And a lot of times I'll meet law school students who are studying for the bar, and they're scared, and they've already accepted the fact that they're not going to pass the first time around. And I want to shake them and say, that is not true. That is, again, background noise. You will pass the first time. It is practically doable. And you just have to work hard and study hard. And once you pass the bar, and you will find that job. It might not be your ideal job. For example, my first job right out of law school, passing the bar, was at Paramount Pictures, but I had gone to law school to escape Paramount Pictures. So it might not roll out the way you would envision, but it will certainly lead you towards the path that you have chosen. So I think don't be afraid, just have no fear.
Losses can last anywhere from several months to several years. What is your fee structure?
Luckily for personal injury, the fee structure that is generally applied is contingency basis. And the way I break it down for my clients who come in is contingency basis simply implies that my fee is dependent on my ability to recover a settlement. In other words, I do not get compensated unless I bring in and secure a settlement. So a lot of times that helps the injured party because generally an injured party did not anticipate this injury, therefore they have not allocated the funds they might need to present a proper injury case. So we as the law firm will take on the burden of the entire financial burden of presenting a case and then get compensated at the tail end of that process. So like you mentioned, litigation might drag on for several years, so you have to be financially stable as a practice to take on those difficult cases, because not only do you have to worry about your fees and your employees, then you bring in the experts who will testify during trial, and those could be extremely expensive. So again, your footing, your grounding is extremely important as to being financially stable to be able to nurture a case throughout the timeline that it requires. So for my clients, I tell them, you don't have to worry about paying me or compensating me or paying any of the experts. I take on that burden because I am confident that I'll be able to secure a settlement. So that speaks to my confidence in looking at the facts around the case and knowing, do we have liability? Do we have a party that's going to accept fault? Do we have a financial entity that will step in and say, yes, we've caused the injury, therefore we're going to compensate you? So when I review the facts of the case, then I'm able to say, certainly we can work on a contingency basis. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the sit-down interview, and hopefully we'll continue this conversation sometime in the near future.
Thank you.
Mariam is a very successful attorney, which motivated me to go back to school. She puts a smile on my face every morning she comes to work. She cares about each and every client and does her best to make them happy.
Մեր աշխարհը նույնը չէ, մեր հայրենիքը նույնը չէ, եւ վերջապես մենք ինքներս նույնը չենք։ Բայց օտար փաստաբաններ դեռ ինչ-որ բան են վաճառում ձեզ։ Մենք, ի տարբերություն նրանց, հասկանում ենք հայ մարդու այսօրվա խնդիրները եւ պատրաստ ենք միանալու ձեզ այսօր հաղթարելու օրենքի հետ կապված ձեր բոլոր խնդիրները։ Մենք, հայերով,
Գլենդելի կենտրոնում, Հարվարդ եւ Մերիլենդ փողոցների անկյունում գտնվող նորաբաց My Salon գեղեցկության սրահը արդեն իսկ դարձել է ամենաոճային կանանց եւ տղամարդկանց սիրելի վայրը, որն առաջարկում է ամենօրյա, երեկոյան, տոնական եւ հարսանեկան վարսահարդարման ու դիմահարդարման յուրահատուկ ծառայություններ։ Ընդարձակ ու նրբաճաշակ սրահում գործում են անվանի եւ միջազգային ճանաչում ունեցող մասնագետներ։ My Salon, խնամված եւ գրավիչ արտաքինի ձեր գրավականը։
Glendale High Funeral Services ժամանակը ամրացնում է վստահությունը։
Glendale High Funeral Services հաստատությունը 25 տարի շարունակ ծառայում է հայ համայնքին։ Մեր աշխատակիցները պրոֆեսիոնալ եւ հոգատար են բոլորի հետ։ Ընտրեցեք բարձր որակի ծառայություն եւ հարազատ վերաբերմունք։
Glendale High Funeral Services մեր համայնքը մեր ընտանիքն է։
Զանգահարեք 818 247 8860։
International Families Association is a non-profit organization. Կազմակերպություն, որ տարիներ շարունակ ծառայում է ի նպաստ ցածր եկամուտ ունեցող ընտանիքների։ Յուրաքանչյուր երկուշաբթի եւ չորեքշաբթի օրերին կեսօրից հետո ժամը 2-ից 5-ը տրամադրվում է անվճար ուտելիք եւ այլ ապրանքներ։ Ընդունվում է ամեն տեսակի հովանավորություն։ Մանրամասների համար զանգահարել 818 770 0779 հեռախոսահամարով։ Կասաբոնիտա տարեցների առողջապահական նորաբաց կենտրոն։ Այստեղ ստեղծված են բոլոր հարմարավետ պայմանները ապահովելու ձեր բարեկեցությունը։ Կասաբոնիտայում հոգում են ձեր առողջապահական խնդիրները բարձրորակ մասնագետների միջոցով։ Լուծում են ձեր սոցիալական եւ կենցաղային հարցերը, օգնում են բարելավել ձեր մկանային ուժը հատուկ մարմնամարզությունների միջոցով։ Ժամանցային հետաքրքիր ծրագրեր, հատուկ սնունդ, փոխադրամիջոց։ Կասաբոնիտայում բացօթյա գեղեցիկ պարտեզից եւ ջերմ ընդունելությամբ սկսվում է ձեր յուրաքանչյուր օրը։
For advertising on Insight TV, please call 818-653-0199.